Hello and welcome to my channel, Balkan Aesthetics. The title of this video is called The Sword of Kindness. Now you might be thinking that's kind of a strange title to give to a video. You know, how can kindness be a sword? So I'm going to do the best that I can, by the grace of God, to explain to you what that means. Alright, so first thing you have to keep in mind, right, is that you have two main operating systems, right? You have the operating system of the world, and you have the operating system of Christ, okay? Now, this type of thinking will only make sense to you when you have the operating system of Christ, when you're born again. If you're still in the world, then this won't make much sense to you, and you might even find it kind of foolish. But as we know, a lot of people think the wisdom of God is foolish, right? But God thinks the wisdom of man is foolish. So pick this day who you will listen to. All right. So when somebody is in the world, right, when they operate from that frame of mind, right, they operate from ego, right? And what is ego an extension of? An ego is an extension of power, right? The more power you have, the more value you think you have, right? And what this world teaches you is that you need to accrue as much value as possible to gain as much power as possible so that people can look up to you, so that people will think you're worth something, right? That's what we're taught since we were little kids. Our parents, they told us you need to go to school, you need to get a high-paying job, you have to accomplish all these things in order to be worthy, in order to be valued, right? So when you operate from that frame of mind, right, everything you do in this world is to get more power, right, to gain more influence, okay? The problem with that is when you are trying to get more power and more influence, that will inevitably lead you to be a worse type of person, because you will only value power and influence, and anybody who doesn't have it, you will look down on them, right? And the problem with thinking this way is that you will inevitably ruin the lives of many people without knowing it, because you will be unconsciously putting them down because you don't think they're worthy of your time or have any value to give you, because they haven't accomplished what you have accomplished, right? And the Achilles heel of this way of thinking is when you have somebody in front of you that you think has more power or more influence, or that you think is worth more than you, right? For whatever reason. Maybe they're better looking, maybe they have more money, maybe, they get the kind of women you want to get, right? Whatever reason you have to envy them, okay? What that's going to cause in your soul is insecurity, okay? And when you're insecure, what you're going to do is you are going to lash out at that kind of person in order to put them down to make yourself feel better, okay? Because there's something about them that threatens you, which is the supposed power that they have over you, right? Or value over you. This is why the children of God, they go through so many struggles and have so many problems with people. They don't know why some people are out to get them, or why some people, don't get along with them, even though they haven't done anything wrong to those kinds of people, right? It's because the people who are against them, they envy them in some type of way. And this is why they behave towards them the way that they do, okay? And because of that, the child of God will think there's something wrong with them because people don't like them, or people make fun of them for no reason, or they think they have some sort of deficiency, okay? But the real reason those people put them down is because of envy, okay? Because the people that are saying these nasty things to them have a power complex, right? They have a big ego. And with a big ego, the problem with it is it's also very fragile. You could think of it like a balloon, right? The balloon is quite large the more you expand it, but its fragility goes up the bigger it gets, okay? So how does this all tie in to kindness? All right, I'm gonna try my best to explain this. When you're born again, okay, you no longer operate with the worldly mindset of, I need to be XYZ in order to be valued, right? You know that you have inherent value based on what God gave you, right? The gifts that God gave you. You no longer have the mindset of, I have to prove myself to people in order for people to like me, right? That people-pleasing mentality goes out the window. So let me give you an example of this. Say you're just minding your business, right? And somebody's giving you a hard time. And you've done nothing wrong to them. Okay? When you're operating with the worldly mindset, when they insult you, the first thing you want to do is insult them back, right? Because they're hurting your ego in some kind of way, right? What they're saying is devaluing you in some type of way, okay? When you have the born again experience, when you're a child of God, when you no longer operate from the ego, you understand that the person who's saying nasty things to you or doing something nasty to you, they're doing it because of insecurity, right? They feel bad about themselves for whatever reason. And because they're miserable, okay, they want to make you miserable. So the one thing they want you to do most is to retaliate against them when they say something nasty to you, right? Because it'll give them this good feeling like, good. I'm not happy and they're not happy either. I feel better, right? As that old saying goes, misery loves company, right? But when you're born again and you no longer operate from the flesh, but you operate from the spirit, when somebody insults you, right? Instead of getting upset or angry, you compliment them back. You say something nice to them, right? Whatever it is, just say something nice in response, okay? And a few things will happen when you do that, right? So scenario A, you say something nice to them back, they will double down on insulting you, right? They'll say something even worse about you, right? They'll double down. Scenario B, they will feel very uncomfortable that you said something nice to them even though they insulted you, right? And they'll go from being uncomfortable to getting very upset at you. They'll get even angrier at you because you didn't take the bait, right? It not only shows that you're stronger than them mentally, but it puts a mirror in front of them and reflects their own lack of self-worth back to them, right? So that frustrates them even more. So you being kind to them is quite literally taking a sword and cutting their ego, because you know they're operating from ego. And when you don't fall for it, right? When you don't have an ego like they do, there's nothing they can say to you that'll get you off center, right? And when you are nice to them, it'll be like, I think the word says, pouring hot coals on their head, right? They'll feel even worse for what they did to you, right? They're gonna go home and they won't even be able to sleep at night because they'll just be thinking, oh man, I'm such a piece of garbage for saying that to that guy. He said nothing back to me. He was only nice to me, right? It'll make them feel even worse about themselves, right? So the first scenario is they double down. If that doesn't work, they start to get very uncomfortable and get angry at you, right? And then the third scenario, they'll think you're weird or there's something wrong with you, right? They'll say, oh, you're a weirdo, right? They'll say this stuff about you, right? As a last-ditch effort to make you think you're the one who's got a problem, right? But the reason why they're saying you're a weirdo is because they are defeated, right? You have effectively crushed them in the spirit because they were trying to overpower you using the ego, right? And the reason why they use their ego to overpower you is because they're operating under the devil's mindset, which is might is right. I have to overpower you to prove my worth. And when you don't fall for that, when you just respond to them with kindness, right, it makes them feel even worse about themselves than if you were to insult them back or retaliate in a negative manner, right? And let's see what else. There's one other thing I wanted to say. Oh, and the best scenario that can happen, right, is that person that treated you poorly, they'll come up to you later on and they'll actually say sorry for what they did, right? And they might even ask you how you didn't retaliate, why you were so calm, cool, calm, and collected, right? So some people might actually feel bad and come up to you and apologize for the way they treated you, right? So that's how the sword of kindness works. You're effectively cutting their ego down, right? And you end up looking great. You end up looking professional, clean, right? You stay clean. And anybody else who sees that, they'll look at you and go, wow, this person has got something special. They got some resilience to them. I want to know what that's all about, right? So you end up looking good. And then that person who wanted to put you down, they end up looking like trash. So it's a win-win on your end. So yeah, I hope that message came across. I hope that makes sense. In essence, your kindness kills the other person's ego and you end up winning. And if they still have nasty things to say about you behind your back, you don't have to worry because God's going to cut them down anyway. So yeah, that's all I got. If you like the video, give it a like. If you want to subscribe, please do so. If you want to leave a comment for any future video you'd like me to do, please go ahead. And as always, to God be the glory, and I'll see you next video.